Justin Trudeau didn't issue a travel ban. Canadians just stopped showing up. For decades, they crossed into the U.S. more than any other international group, filling hotels in Florida, skiing in Vermont, and shopping in Buffalo. Now, those familiar crossings are thinning out. A 32% drop in Canadian land entries isn't just a fluke, it's a warning. Aggressive border searches, political slights, and mounting safety concerns have turned the once routine trip into a risk.
Don't get fooled by the label. Subscribe now to uncover what's really behind your favorite brands. And get the truth Big Food doesn't want you to see.
And it's not just Canada. While tourism surges globally, the U.S. is bleeding international visitors, replaced by a chilling mix of resentment and caution. What unraveling isn't just travel stats. It's an entire economy built on foreign foot traffic. States like Nevada and Florida are watching international revenue vanish, even as domestic tourism holds steady. Airlines are slashing routes, service jobs are drying up, and border towns are left hanging. It's a self-inflicted wound. Policies that alienate allies, rhetoric that fuels distrust, and an image of instability that no marketing budget can fix. The bigger question isn't who's avoiding America, it's how long the U.S. can afford to be avoided. Something's changed, and the United States isn't ready to face it. For decades, the U.S. was a crown jewel of global tourism, the bucket list destination, the country that drew millions of visitors each year with its national parks, cultural landmarks, and promise of excitement. But in 2025, that illusion has shattered. The world is turning away. Tourists are staying home. Flights are being canceled. And even America's most loyal visitors, Canadians, are walking away in record numbers. This isn't a temporary dip in numbers. It's a reckoning. While countries like Spain, Japan, Mexico, and Canada are posting record-breaking tourism figures, the U.S. is sliding backwards. Year after year, international arrivals are falling. The message is loud and clear. Travelers no longer feel welcome or safe on American soil. And it's not just about money. It's about perception. Political tensions, hostile rhetoric, and a global image of insecurity are driving people away. At the center of this shift, Canada. Canada has long been the U.S.'s #1 source of international tourists. Canadians have always packed up their cars and headed south for shopping, beaches, sports games, or family vacations. But not anymore. Canadian land crossings into the U.S. are down by 32%. And it's not a fluke. It's a deliberate decision. People are canceling travel plans. Families that once made the border drive every summer are now choosing Mexico or Europe instead. That's not just a statistic. That's a warning. Canadian travelers are saying they feel disrespected. And they have reasons. Border crossings have become tense, and reports of aggressive treatment by U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers are common. Canadians, especially minorities and LGBTQ+ travelers, are being subjected to humiliating checks, unnecessary detainment, and flat-out rude treatment. The border has become a barrier, not just physically but emotionally. Why go somewhere that treats you like a threat? And the policies fueling this hostility are hard to ignore, whether it's anti-immigration rhetoric, gender identity restrictions, or casual remarks by U.S. officials referring to Canada as the 51st state. Canadians are done pretending that this relationship is balanced. The arrogance coming from American leadership isn't just offensive, it's toxic, and it's driving away the very people that fuel local U.S. economies. Let's talk numbers. Florida, a tourism titan, has reported sharp drops in international visitors. Canadians use a flood into the Sunshine State every winter, spending heavily and keeping entire communities afloat. Now, local businesses are feeling the sting. Restaurants, resorts, and rental car agencies are laying off workers. Entire service sectors are shrinking. And even as domestic tourism holds steady, it's not enough. International tourists bring new money. And when they vanish, the hole they leave is massive. Airlines are taking hits too. With fewer international travelers booking U.S. destinations, ticket prices have plummeted. Flight routes are being cut. International carriers are pulling back. And major airports are seeing empty gates where crowds used to flow. The ripple effect is real. When the planes stop flying, the jobs disappear. Baggage handlers, airport staff, hospitality workers, tour guides. The entire ecosystem begins to crumble. And this isn't just about Canada. The decline is global. Countries like the UK have issued travel warnings for America, citing rising gun violence, police brutality, and political instability. Organizations like Amnesty International have called out the U.S. as a country with escalating human rights concerns. That's the kind of warning label that sticks. And when foreign travelers look at America now, they don't see freedom. They see risk. The U.S. used to sell itself as the land of openness and opportunity. Now it sells anxiety. Mass shootings, aggressive law enforcement, and a polarized political climate make headlines around the world. Tourists read those headlines. They hear the rhetoric. And they choose safer, more welcoming destinations. The damage is now baked into how people see America. And the economic cost goes far beyond tourism. Declines in travel spending affect retail, real estate, entertainment, transportation, everywhere that counts on international visitors to spend freely. Businesses are closing. Tax revenue is dropping. Entire regions that once thrived on global travel are now tightening belts and slashing budgets. And let's be clear, domestic tourism can't fix this. Americans traveling within America just shuffle money from one pocket to another. International tourists bring new wealth. They spend more, stay longer, and inject fresh economic energy. When that energy dries up, so does growth. But even beyond the economy, this is about image and influence. America's soft power has always rested partly on its allure, its appeal, its ability to draw the world to its streets, museums, theaters, and landmarks. When that appeal fades, so does global respect. So does diplomatic leverage. Being seen as a global destination matters. It signals stability. It invites collaboration. When people stop visiting, they stop engaging. They stop caring. And that apathy has consequences. U.S. leaders have underestimated just how fragile global trust is. The rhetoric of isolationism, nationalism, and superiority has created a cultural border wall. One that doesn't just block trade. It blocks curiosity. It blocks interest. It blocks the kind of goodwill that takes decades to build, but only moments to destroy. The insults to allies don't help. Canadian travelers have not forgotten the condescension, the jokes at their expense, the open disregard for partnership. You cannot call a country your best friend and then mock it on national television. You cannot expect loyalty from people you treat like afterthoughts. And the timing couldn't be worse. The U.S. is set to host massive international events in the coming years. The 2026 World Cup, the 2028 Olympics. But if the current trends continue, there's a real risk that global visitors won't come. Not because they don't care about the events, but because they don't want to be in America. And who can blame them? Travelers want safety, dignity, and welcome. Right now, America offers none of those things. And until that changes, no marketing campaign, no tourism board video, no flashy airport upgrade will bring the world back. It's not about branding. It's about behavior. This isn't a hypothetical warning. It's already happening. The drop in Canadian tourism is just the beginning. It's a mirror. And what it reflects is a country that's become difficult to enter, hard to trust, and impossible to feel safe in. The kind of place people used to dream of visiting, and now avoid. If the U.S. wants to reverse this, it needs to take a long, honest look at how it treats the world, how it treats its allies, how it treats its own citizens. Because right now, the message is clear. If you don't belong to a very narrow definition of American, you're not welcome. And people are responding with their wallets, with their passports, with their silence. Canada is staying home. Europe is staying home. The world is moving on. If you think this story matters, share this video. Like it, comment below, and tell us what you think. Subscribe for more breakdowns on the global impact of American policy. Because the decline isn't just economic, it's reputational. And the world is already writing the next chapter without America in it. And here's what makes it worse. Instead of confronting this growing rejection, American leadership continues to act like it's business as usual, like the world still wants what America's selling. But the truth is fewer and fewer people are buying it. Canada didn't just wake up one day and decide to stop visiting. This wasn't spontaneous. This was years in the making, Years of headlines, policies, and public statements that sent one consistent message: you're not welcome here. Whether it was border agents treating people like criminals for daring to cross for a long weekend, or American politicians throwing around condescending remarks about woke Canadians, the relationship has been pushed to the edge. And it's not just about optics anymore, it's about dignity. Canadians are tired of being treated like a nuisance by a country they've historically supported with their tourism dollars, their trade, and their friendship. They're tired of being treated with suspicion at the border. They're tired of dealing with random secondary checks, invasive questioning, and the assumption that they're somehow suspect just for having a different passport. So they're staying home, or they're going elsewhere, to countries that actually want their business. Mexico, for example, is booming with Canadian tourists. So is Portugal. So is Japan. These places are benefiting from the vacuum America left behind. They're winning, not because they're doing anything flashy, but because they're doing something basic: showing respect. The damage this is doing to the U.S. economy is massive. In places like Florida, international tourism isn't just a bonus, it's a foundation. Canadians alone use a pour over $1 billion into Florida economy annually. Now, that number is shrinking. Hotels are sitting half full during what used to be peak season. Small businesses are reporting fewer customers. Local tourism boards are quietly panicking while publicly pretending everything's fine. Las Vegas? Same story. International bookings down. Room rates dropping. Entertainment venues struggling to fill seats. Because domestic tourism, while still active, simply doesn't replace the volume and spending power of international guests, especially Canadians, who historically stay longer and spend more. And let's not forget, this isn't just about leisure. It's business travel too. Conferences, conventions, trade expos. These are all industries that rely on foreign professionals visiting the U.S. regularly. But those visitors are declining too. Business travelers from Canada and Europe are opting for cities like Toronto, Berlin, or Tokyo instead. Why deal with the hassle and hostility of entering the U.S. when there are world-class alternatives with better treatment and fewer headaches? Airlines are feeling it. Routes are being cut. Canadian Airlines are reducing the number of U.S.-bound flights. American carriers are scaling back international schedules. Fewer flights mean fewer connections, and fewer connections mean less revenue. This domino effect is already being felt in cities like Miami, Seattle, and Chicago, once vibrant hubs for international travelers, now seeing quieter terminals and slashed budgets. And let's talk about the deeper damage, the reputational cost. Tourism isn't just an economic metric. It's soft power. It's how countries build goodwill, create cultural connections, and foster mutual respect. When people travel, they build stories. They build trust. They take what they see home with them. And when they don't travel, when they actively avoid a country, the distance grows. So does resentment. So does misunderstanding. The U.S. is bleeding soft power, not because its landmarks have lost their appeal, but because its policies and political climate have created an environment that feels hostile and volatile. Tourists don't want to navigate a place where mass shootings are normalized, where healthcare is inaccessible, and where even routine encounters with law enforcement can escalate unpredictably. It's not just fear, it's fatigue. And the fatigue is global. Travel warnings from multiple countries now caution visitors about safety in the U.S. Whether it's crime, police violence, or political unrest, the warnings are consistent. And the irony is brutal. The country that once advertised itself as the world's safest beacon of freedom is now seen by many as unpredictable and unsafe. Canadians, in particular, aren't just reacting to what happens at the border. They're reacting to what they see on the news. A country deeply divided. A country where elected leaders vilify immigrants and lash out at allies. A country where people are demonized for their identity, their pronouns, their political views. A country that increasingly feels foreign to its neighbors. And let's be honest, this is self-inflicted. None of this had to happen. The relationships were there. The trust was there. The loyalty was there. But arrogance burned it down. Political posturing poisoned it. Instead of treating allies like equals, American leaders treated them like props in a culture war. And now, the country is reaping the consequences. You can't insult your friends and then expect them to vacation with you. And you can't recover from this by slapping a discount on a hotel room. What's unfolding now is long-term damage. Damage that could take years or decades to undo. Events like the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics should have been guaranteed wins for American tourism. But now, there's real concern that these events will underperform because the visitors the U.S. used to count on might just decide they've got better places to be. This isn't about political ideology. It's about basic diplomacy, basic humanity. It's about treating people with respect, regardless of where they come from or how they identify. That's what makes a country attractive. That's what builds trust. That's what fills airports and hotels. Right now, America is failing that test, and the economic numbers are only going to get worse if nothing changes. Because this isn't just about the present moment. It's about how the world sees America going forward, as a destination, as a partner, as a neighbor. If the U.S. continues down this path, alienating allies, doubling down on hostility, and pretending like international tourism will magically bounce back, it risks becoming isolated in a way that's never been seen before. Because once people stop coming, they stop caring. And when they stop caring, rebuilding those bridges becomes exponentially harder. So here's the hard truth. America has lost something real. Not just visitors, not just revenue, but the benefit of the doubt. And if it wants to win that back, the fix won't come from a marketing campaign. It has to come from the top, from leadership that acknowledges a problem, changes the tone, and opens the door again. Until then, Canadians will keep staying home. Europeans will keep booking elsewhere. The rest of the world will keep choosing destinations that offer warmth without the hostility, welcome without the suspicion, and peace without performance. And America will keep losing. And here's the part that hits the hardest. America still thinks it's the center of the travel universe. Still believes people should want to visit. Just because it's America, that old myth of exceptionalism is hanging on by a thread. Even as the numbers tell a very different story. Because here's the cold, hard truth. The world owes the U.S. nothing. Not their admiration. Not their loyalty. And certainly not their tourism dollars. For years, international travelers put up with a lot just to visit. Long waits at customs. Over-policing. Outdated infrastructure. Expensive health care. And yes, a rising sense of danger. But they came anyway. Because the Statue of Liberty meant something. Because Broadway lit up the night. Because standing in Yosemite or Times Square or the Grand Canyon still held that once-in-a-lifetime appeal. But now, they've seen what's underneath. They've seen the deepening political divide. They've watched protests turn violent. They've seen state governments pass laws restricting rights. They've heard the slogans that don't sound like freedom anymore. And for a growing number of travelers, especially Canadians, that once-in-a-lifetime moment just isn't worth the anxiety, the disrespect, or the potential danger. When Canadian families can cross into Mexico or hop a flight to Portugal for less money, less hassle, and a whole lot more peace of mind, why would they choose the U.S.? Why deal with border agents that act like enforcers instead of hosts? Why gamble on whether your identity will be accepted or ridiculed at the gate? Why risk a violent encounter when travel advisories from your own government tell you to proceed with caution? They wouldn't. And increasingly, they aren't. Canada isn't just reducing its visits. It's redirecting them. Canadian travelers are now pumping money into their own tourism sector, exploring more of the Rockies, the Maritimes, or the West Coast. Domestic tourism is booming. And when they do travel abroad, it's the places where they feel welcomed, respected, and safe. This shift isn't emotional. It's strategic. It's rational. And it's permanent. Unless the U.S. course corrects fast. Because we're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet. We're talking about relationships, about international trust, about the cultural glue that keeps allies close. And when that glue dries up, things crack fast. Here's what happens when Canadians stay home. Border economies suffer. Towns that rely on Canadian dollars shrink. Local jobs vanish. Airlines lose passengers. Routes get slashed. Airports lose revenue. Hospitality takes a hit. Hotels go empty. Restaurants close early. Retail shops cut staff. Conference centers cancel events. Trade shows move north or overseas. the ripple effect becomes a wave, and it's already rolling. Even the biggest tourism states like Florida, California, and New York are feeling it. They may still draw domestic visitors, but that international shine is fading. And it's not coming back with a theme park discount or a marketing slogan. This is deeper. This is reputational. And in tourism, reputation is everything. You can't market your way out of mistrust. You have to earn your way back in. The arrogance of assuming the world will keep coming, no matter how poorly they're treated, is a uniquely American blind spot. It ignores a reality that other countries are competing and winning. Because while the U.S. is busy building walls, other nations are building experiences, welcoming travelers, creating pathways, not checkpoints, relationships, not suspicion. Meanwhile, American tourism boards are left doing damage control for policies they didn't create. Businesses are left absorbing losses from decisions made in Washington. And frontline workers, waiters, hotel clerks, drivers, retail staff, are left wondering where all the visitors went. The visitors didn't just disappear. They were pushed away by leaders who use aggression as a diplomatic strategy, by border officers trained to enforce fear rather than hospitality, by policies that target the very diversity international tourists come from, and by a culture that seems less interested in global community and more obsessed with nationalist isolation. This isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a strategic blunder, because tourism isn't fluff. It's not some nice-to-have. It's a cornerstone of the global economy. And for the U.S., it's a massive engine of jobs, small business revenue, and international engagement. Losing that edge means losing influence, losing trust, losing connection. And right now, America is losing. If it wants to win back the world, it has to start by looking in the mirror. It has to fix the culture of hostility at the border. It has to stop treating allies like outsiders. It has to recognize that every traveler is a diplomat in disguise, bringing stories home, shaping public opinion, influencing policy. Because every empty hotel room is a lost conversation. Every canceled flight is a broken connection. Every Canadian family that chooses the Rockies over a Florida beach is a vote of no confidence. And if that trend holds, the damage will outlast this year. It will define the next decade. If this breakdown matters to you, if you've seen the shift or felt it firsthand, share this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you agree that respect matters, and subscribe to follow more breakdowns of the real-world consequences of policy, politics, and pride. Because the world is watching. And right now it's walking away.